You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by. On the morning shift.
Anything
could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh. It is January the 9th. Just double checking that date. It's Monday, so sometimes you just have to get back into the grind of things, and that's where I'm at today. So welcome to Monday, January the 9th, 2023. If you haven't joined us at all last week, Happy New Year. We didn't have a show on Friday. It was one of those days with a technical issue that it's never happened before in history, but you have to be prepared for everything. So made the decision to not go ahead with the show due to we'd have to come on like a half an hour late, and I just thought, you know what, deal with the technical issues so that way it doesn't happen in the future, and that's that. So I hope you're having a great Monday. We're going to make sure it's great no matter what anyways, because we have the control to do that. I do anyways in my own mind, and I'm sure I'm not unique in that, so that we all have the power to make this a great Monday. So thanks for being with us, all y'all, all of you that have been with us since the beginning, or you've come on board since the show had started. Thanks for being here. You make this show all that it should be when you like, comment, share, subscribe, all that stuff, but especially commenting, because this is your show and you're able to be a part of it through your comments and keep us on our toes and keep us factual whenever we're not able to find the facts. It's happened so many times where you've been able to give us the information that we've needed. And the show is growing. I just want to let everyone know that. We're on CKLU 96.7 FM on the radio in the morning, as you know, if you're listening there in your car or at home on the radio before work or just before you get started with your day. And we're also streaming online at CKLU.ca. You click on the Radio Player Canada logo. It opens up a streamer, a player, and you can stream us. You can also download the Radio Player Canada app, listen to us anywhere, anytime on your favorite device. And there you have it. So that's how you can get us auditorily. You can listen to us that way. If you want to watch, we're live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live. That's facebook.com/Sudbury News, youtube.com/Sudbury News. And so we've been doing this since March of 2022. Sudbury News. We were doing Sudbury Sports Talk since 2017. And so we're grateful that the show is growing. We're thankful for all of you helping us grow it, and it's a work in progress. It's a labor of love, as this show is 100% volunteer, and on a volunteer community radio station, and then we've taken it to the next level and having it stream on YouTube and Facebook. So with that, if you ever wanted to do your own show and give back to the community with the things that, the talents and gifts that you've been given and learned throughout your life, you can put that into a show and share that with the community through CKLU. All you have to do is email Rob, and his email is gm@cklu.ca, and you can have your own show. You could either go into the studio and do it, or do like me, if you're able to have the technology, do it remotely from the convenience of your office or your home. And so we could always use more content and local content and hear from the people from Sudbury and having a show. Good morning, David. Thanks for being with us this morning. Let's get right into it. We're going to start off with some weather. We got some sports. There's the Five and the Wolves were busy this weekend. 3 games from the Wolves, 2 games from the Five. So no shortage there of action in Sudbury sports. But first of all, we'll kick it off with some weather. We'll be right back after this. Sudbury weather brought to you by sudburyweather.ca. That's our Sudbury weather page that lands on sudbury.news. The weather tab there. Currently it's -3, feels like -7. The humidity is 93%. Today we can expect cloudy with a 60% chance of flurries. Wind becoming northwest 20 kilometers near noon, high of -1. The wind chill will feel like -7. This morning, -13 this afternoon. And UV index is 1 or low. Always is this time of year. Tonight, cloudy, 60% chance of flurries. Same thing as today. And early this evening, wind north 20 kilometers, becoming light this evening. Low -15. And the wind chill is -13 this evening and -19 overnight. And then Tuesday, clearing in the morning, wind up to 15 kilometers, high of -11. Wind chill -22 in the morning and -14 in the afternoon. And a bit of your, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 day forecast, I guess. Tuesday, as we said, it's clearing, high of -11, a little more chilly than today. And then Wednesday, snow in the forecast, 60% chance, high of -6. Also Thursday, 60% chance of flurries, high of -4. And then they're predicting a little bit of clearing on Friday and Saturday. We're supposed to get, if you were listening to the forecast on Thursday and then watching the forecast or reading what it was supposed to be a sunny weekend for Sudbury. However, it was not. And so I had to share the forecast and say, despite the forecast, it is not what it's saying it's supposed to be. It was very cloudy and we got snow. I don't even know if I saw the sun peek out at all in the weekend. And the forecast was not a cloud in the forecast for Saturday at all. And this was pretty much the day before as well. Totally overcast, snow, very depressing looking day. But anyways, it is what it is. I will not complain. However, I just did. Here's a look at the clouds we're talking about. Over in Minnesota, nice and clear. Minnesota, bit of the UP, Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Other than that, all of Canada in this satellite view is under clouds. A little bit of snow activity in the north around Timmins, Tri-Town area kind of thing. Maybe a little north of North Bay. Other than that, just clouds. And that's your weather forecast brought to you by sudburyweather.ca, landing on our sudbury.news Facebook page. We'll be back right after this with a lot, I guess. We'll condense it. It won't be that long of a segment, but there was a lot of sports going on in Sudbury. Sudbury Wolves, Sudbury 5 right after this. And as we said, a lot of sports happening in this city. Hockey, the Sudbury Wolves were in action 3 days, 3 games. They lost 7-2 last night, though, unfortunately. They took, though, so anyways, this is brought to you by Sudbury.com. Mississauga Steelheads in the game yesterday, which you could have heard right here on CKLU, took a somewhat surprising approach to a few days before the trade deadline. They got rid of OHL stars Luca Del Belluz, if I pronounced that correctly, and recent Team Canada gold medalists Ethan Del Mastro and Owen Beck. And then they just picked up some young guys in those trades, and they pummeled the Wolves yesterday, 7-2. And so a lot of those young guns got goals against the Sudbury Wolves. We have a new goalie in net. I believe it was his first game. And unfortunately, his name is Kevin Broussard. Comes in from Drummondville of the Quebec Major Junior League. Came in a couple days earlier. This was his second start. So I'm grateful for actual reporters here. I caught the games, bits and pieces of them this weekend. And I knew we acquired the overage goaltender Kevin Broussard, and his first game he got a 6-3 win over the Bulldogs in his debut Saturday night. And then the next night, 7-2 was the loss. But anyways, they played 3 games in 48 hours. So tired. They were missing Quentin Musty as well. So unfortunately, that's the way the cookie crumbled in that regard. And also, David Bowen, who is the latest addition to the CKLU Sudbury Wolves broadcast team, has CTV did a story on him. So just wanted to check in here on CTV, doing a story on David Bowen. If you weren't familiar, he's the son of broadcast legend Joe Bowen, who's the voice of the Leafs on radio currently, used to be the voice of the Sudbury Wolves.
Former junior goaltender David Bowen wasn't handed his current position with the Sudbury Wolves as the team's radio road broadcaster because of his name. He earned it. Behind the mic for the AAA midget broadcast last year, Bowen's progression in doing play-by-play at the OHL level was an easy one. He played in a handful of games in the Ontario and Quebec Major Junior Leagues, posting a shutout for Sudbury 3 years ago against Ottawa. And Bowen knows the game well.
You're still performing, you're still live, and you still got to do a job. So, probably first game, a little more pressure. I think I'm a little more confident in my broadcasting abilities than I was my goaltending abilities.
Bowen is not one to back down from a challenge at upholding the family name in hockey broadcasting.
I'm going to try and do it the best way that I can, and if I'm half as good as him, great. If I'm not, then so be it.
Him, as in longtime Maple Leafs broadcaster Joe Bowen, David's dad. And another member of the Sudbury Wolves broadcast team, Brian Cooper, says there are similarities with the two Bowens.
I think if you listen to Joe on the broadcast, when you listen to a Leafs broadcast, there is a lot of energy. And I think David has that kind of natural ability to really take you through the broadcast. It has some ups, it has some downs, but he really has the energy and he can really help paint a picture as to, what's going on in the game.
Cooper says David Bowen is progressing well as we head into the second half of the current OHL season.
He's a great guy, and he has a really unique perspective because he used to be a player as well.
As for his personal development as a broadcaster, David Bowen admits he's intent on doing things his way.
Hits Kane De Bruyne, the chest, he fires, he scores!
Especially being on the radio, I just want people to be able to follow the game. Like, you want to be able to visualize the game in the car while I'm calling the game. You want to know where the puck is, who's got it, the situation, the whole deal. So,
keeping up the strong family tradition of sending fans the call from the broadcast booth, David Bowen can be heard on all Wolves road games. For the OHL File, I'm Rick Wyman.
Yeah, so there you go. So that's David Bowen, been with us pretty much since the beginning of this season for our road games. And I believe he's done the odd home game as well, but color commentary with Brian Cooper. So you got Brian Cooper, Thomas Mercier, and now David Bowen. So if you want to catch the games right here on CKLU 96.7 FM, if you can't get it any other way, you can get it. There's a CHL channel online that you can watch it. There's also Eastlink, Channel 10, and then whatever it is. There's the HD channel and the regular channel, which is also HD anyways. I don't know why they have the two channels nowadays. They're all HD as far as I know. But anyways, you can catch the those games that way. Also in action last night was, or sorry, 2 times this weekend were the Sudbury Five. Let's find the story here. And okay, guess it's not there. Either way, it was less than 24 hours after dominating the final 3 quarters of more and posting a 122-96 victory over the Oakland County Pharaohs. The Sudbury Five followed up with a 125-119 win in a contest in which they trailed after both the first and second quarters. In the first quarter, they lost 33-30, and then the second quarter, 57-55. However, they ended up with the victory 125-119 over the Oakland County Pharaohs. Again, just to encourage everybody to get out and watch the live Sudbury Wolves or live 5 games. The atmosphere is incredible. You can get out of the house, which it's been, a lot of us have been cooped up over the last few years, and take in the entertainment value of these exciting games, whether you like hockey or basketball, or you're not even all that interested in either. It's a different experience when you get out and you're actually at the game. You can feel the excitement. A lot of people have become fans after getting out and watching. So Sudbury Five currently 2-0 on the season. What a great way to start the season for them. And the Sudbury Wolves making a push for the playoffs, because if they can get in, at least anything can happen. And that's Sudbury Sports, brought to you by SudburySports.com. That's Sudbury Sports Guy's website. Randy Pascal bringing you everything Sudbury Sports. Check that website out. We'll be back with headlines after this. All right, and here we are. We're back. Story about the weather, I'm going to start with that because weather's been very mild, even though we heard that this winter was going to be, it was going to be so cold. That's what the Farmer's Almanac was saying. It's what Environment Canada was saying. We're going to have a really cold winter. Now we're already coming up to the middle of January, and it's been a mild one so far. So as far as we can see, it's going to be mild. And according to some bees, according to a Nick who's on the show quite regularly, she knows that the bees don't lie, and they're saying it's going to be mild. I'd like to give a shout out to Jerome. Good morning, sir. Back to you. Thanks for being with us. But first, let's just go over the headlines. So I want to start with some weather. Also, we got a story on workshops for people aspiring to work in films. So if you want to get in on the action with the movie industry that's here in Northern Ontario, it'll be definitely something to go to, because there is a movie industry up here. This might be a deep dive today. I'm not sure. Marc Sede says rural MPs are pushing back on handgun ban amendment. There should have been more thought should have been put into the late amendment in Bill C-21 that inadvertently impacted certain makes of rifles and shotguns. Surprisingly, but interesting that Marc Sede would be, coming from that angle, even though his government has been pushing for more gun regulation. And so it doesn't look like he's entirely in lockstep with the Trudeau government there, just questioning things, which I have to condone, or at least, congratulate Mark for being able to do that. I believe they did jump the gun, pun intended, on those amendments to that bill. And so we need more insight into that. So Jerome, winter is now from April to June. Oh, interesting. Yes, for sure. So we'll come back on that story. We already shared the David Bowen. Oh, here's one as well. Could be our deep dive. So West Nipissing finally rescinds the COVID-19 vaccine mandate. And I just put a question there. I wonder if Sudbury will ever follow suit on that, because we still require our workers here to be fully vaccinated. If I get a chance, I'll share that video. This is interesting. So I found an article that Mark Zuckerberg says there's no shadow banning on Facebook, but admits there are millions of mistakes. And with that, I just wanted to thank our Facebook moderators and YouTube moderators. I know you have a hard job to do. And at the same time, I hope that you are open-minded as well, enough to make decisions or to listen to what the CEO of your company says there's no shadow banning, and you know full well there is, right? Because you know that your job includes shadow banning as a slap on the hand or whatever, right? So I'm just sharing the fact that your CEO says it doesn't exist, even though you know that's part of your job, right? So if you're listening or watching right now, I'm just person to person. I'm just having a conversation with you. So this is what your CEO says. So I went on Google and I said, how long will I be shadow banned from Facebook? And Facebook said, in general, a ban will last up to 2 weeks. The most simple may be to deal with. So it's giving advice to me if I'm shadow banned for 2 weeks. The most simple way to deal with being shadow banned is to delete any content that could be the reason for the ban. If you're unsure of what the cause is, which most people are because there's no communication, that's the term shadow, right? Because it's done kind of behind the scenes and you're not really sure why. So again, if you're not sure why, which you wouldn't be sure why because there's no communication. If you're unsure of what the cause is, remove your last recent videos and give your account a refresh. So does shadow banning exist or not? I guess Facebook is doing it while telling us it doesn't exist. So that is an issue, right? For just anyone who has a page, who might have a local news podcast, let's say, and noticing that your followers are going down. How does that even happen instead of going up? You should have about 20,000 followers and likes, but yet you can barely get to the 5,000 mark. And so you notice if you say certain things, your followers stop. And you notice you have to pay in order for people to like or follow your page. These are things people notice. But yet it's done in secret and it's not apparent. It's not put out there. So if you told me certain words I can't say, and then you will face consequences, then I would know not to do those things or say those things, right? But transparency, if you were to say that, I could then follow, but I don't know what to follow. So all I know is I may have had a conversation and then I may be shadow banned and I'm not sure why. It may be 3 things. It may be 1. I don't know. I don't understand. But the CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, is saying, you don't do it. But yet Google says it takes 2 weeks when you're shadow banned. So something that doesn't exist takes 2 weeks. So how does that even happen? So you can understand a little frustration. Here's another thing. Since I'm on it, I'll begin with this in our news and then go back. So we did a video January the 30th. And as you can see here, it says that we have, here, I'll just make the screen larger. And I'm sorry for those on the radio. And this might happen to you too. I don't know if you've ever ended up not knowing why social media treats you a certain way or what, and it's not clear. But a lot of people who depend on these platforms. I've heard it time and time again that they have some similar frustrations. So you can see here, it says we had 9 people react to the video, 76 comments, 2 shares. And at the top here, you can see it was 6 days ago, right? 6 days ago. So then we have analytics. So you can go in and see how the video actually performs. It says at the time we had 13 peak viewers, 7 reactions, and 70 comments, right? 7 reactions, which sounds close. It sounds like 9, so it's not all that far off. It said we had 9. But if you look over here, it's interesting. It actually has 100. It has 100 reactions, right? 2 shares, 79 comments. So there's a discrepancy there. So if you look on what people see publicly, it says we have 9 reactions to the video. And if you look on our analytics, it says we have 100, which isn't made public. So if someone's looking at the page thinking, this AJ Walsh guy in the Sudbury News, he's not really doing all that great. He only has 9 people reacting on his video. When really, it's 100, and it actually stopped at 100. I think it kept going. I don't know. Again, you get suspicious when suspicious looking things are happening. You don't understand. So if you look down here, they also tell you what countries people are watching. So we have a lot of people around Canada, around the world, chiming in. A lot of people that are possibly from Sudbury who are living in other countries. And I know we've had some shout outs too. So here you see Canada, the US, Ukraine, Philippines, India, United Kingdom. Just on this video, we have other people from other places as well coming in. But that just gives you an idea of some of the frustrations we have just trying to grow it. So even if you like, share, comment, and all that stuff, Facebook can just say, forget about it. And then, and then we do all the hard work and we're using the platform. It's almost like playing soccer and the goalposts are being moved every time you go to kick the ball in. The net just moves, and so normally you would have scored, but because they move the net and it's legal for them, they control the field. They're in charge of the field. If you want to play soccer in our game, we can move the goalposts if we want. It's okay, but you don't know when they're going to. They don't tell you. So a little bit frustrating. There's a couple of comments here I want to get to from you. I have to see them on the screen first of all. The truth comes out regardless of shadow banning. Okay. Appreciate that, Jerome. And Miles says, was really hard getting the broadcast this morning. Had to watch Sudbury News 3 or 4 times. Oh, had to search it 3 or 4 times. Oh, so I guess that goes in line with what I'm saying, right? And you watch every day pretty much, Miles. You're on every day. You might have missed the odd day as far as I know. So that's pretty weird if you have to search it. Usually Facebook, the reason for it is you're supposed to have it tell you when it's on, like, right? Anybody's page that you're following, it should just tell you, hey, they got a video, it's live, So if you have to go out of your way and search it 3 or 4 times to find the video when you watch it every day, that's interesting. So I'm not sure how the algorithms work for shadow banning. It probably makes it hard to even search and find. I mean, for crying out loud, it's Sudbury News. It's pretty generic. Like if you're interested in news, we just go over the news stories every day and we unpack them and have conversations around them. And sure, we have points of view on those stories, but they are 98.5% local stories. They're just taken from local journalists and we read them and then we talk about them and you have comments. So there, I guess, is a reason why the Sudbury.coms or the Sudbury Stars of the world or the CBCs have taken off the ability to comment. Now, no Sudbury Star hasn't, but I know CBC and Sudbury.com have. But you comment and it doesn't even go on because I guess they're afraid to be shadow banned or whatever if you say something on the story that I guess gets you shadow banned for a reason nobody even knows why. So you're not told why, which makes that incredibly frustrating and hard to navigate around. So how do we get around this? Like, what are the solutions anyways? So we have Cliff here. Cliff says, I posted something a while back that Facebook took out of context, disputed it, and won, but the next day there was a notice on my account that the content will be posted lower on people's news feeds for a month. That's interesting. Why? And who's making these decisions? And what are they basing them on? I don't understand. Yeah, no notifications for a while. I've heard that from multiple people. There's no notifications. And this potentially should be the largest listened to show or watched show in Sudbury. You would think it's the only Sudbury-centric talk show that's out there that you have the ability to kind of chime in on. So it's like Cross Canada, Cross Country Checkup, remember? Back in the day, and they still have it. It was Rex Murphy was the first host that I remember on it. It might have had other hosts, but Cross Country Checkup. And people would call in on the issue of the day. And so anyways, this is the same idea for Sudbury. And I know a lot of people said they really appreciated that idea. So why would a platform say, we don't like that idea. We don't want that to get promoted. We're going to punish the one who's trying to have a conversation with the community and sharing local issues. It's news. Like, doesn't news happen and then you report it? So it's weather. I hope it's nothing about the weather that's getting us shadow banned or the sports we report on. Hope that's not getting us shadow banned. So I'm just trying to figure out what it is and sharing. This was a story from the businessinsider.com. Mark Zuckerberg says there's no shadow banning on Facebook, but admits there are millions of mistakes. So is it just a mistake that the show doesn't get promoted or people don't get notifications? Is that just a mistake? So if I'm speaking to a Facebook moderator right now, I would say, hey, there's an issue. Are you able to help us out with that? I'd appreciate that if you're able to do that. Thank you ahead of time. Ian Hannamansing has been the cross-country checkup dude since Rex Murphy. Yes. Now, I know Rex is very conservative, and I'm sure that rubbed the CBC possibly the wrong way because CBC is on the left of the spectrum politically speaking. Rex Murphy is more on the right. And so similarly, I guess canceled was he from the CBC. I guess so. Let's just go through mild weather. Let's get to some more, hopefully, news that doesn't, put us in a category of being shadow banned or offensive in any way. Mild weather. So I'm going to try and eliminate all these possibilities of why the shadow ban would be. Let's just see if this is something that could get us shadow banned for. A story of the mild weather we've been having. CTV.
A fresh snowfall is welcome news for those eager to partake in the many winter activities Northern Ontario has to offer. Like here at Sudbury's city-run Adenac Ski Hill.
It's great today. There's a lot of snow and it's nice and smooth.
But some believe the flip-flop in recent temperatures has had an impact on the quality of the slopes.
It's very poofy in some parts. For me, it's like at some parts, I'll get to like a part where I can't go because it's like really high up, the snow.
The powder's not great. It catches on the front toe side of your board, so you're more prone to falling.
The city says it was fortunate to keep this hill operating despite the brief winter warm-up, and sales of passes have remained consistent.
We're in really good shape at Adanac. We were open earlier than in some past years before Christmas, and we've been able to remain open and now have some really good conditions with this recent snowfall with 6 of 7 runs open.
The city says milder temperatures have affected public skating outdoors, saying that the Ramsey Lake skate path won't open until conditions improve, likely mid-January.
There will be a bit of time required in order to get the depth of ice required in order to operate that facility.
And as for snowmobile trails, the Sudbury Trail Plan says the season has been non-existent so far, but sledders remain optimistic.
Snow before the thaw that we had. Nothing underneath was frozen yet, so we still would have ran into issues whether we had that snow that had left or not. We need the ground to freeze. We need some consistent cold temperatures and then some snow on top of that in order to get things moving along.
The city says Lively Ski Hill, which is more dependent on natural snow, will likely open in the coming days after benefiting from the fresh snowfall. Amanda Hicks, CTV News, Sudbury.
There you have it. Mild weather when we had a lot of cold weather predicted for this winter. It was supposed to be very, very cold. And thanks, Miles. Yes, Rex Murphy officially did retire, but now he's still working somewhere else. So I wonder why he retired and then went back to working for somebody else. But yeah, I think it was getting a little more frustrating for him where he was working. I just wanted to put it out there anyways. I wonder on the way, because I was listening to CBC on the way in, I wonder if I took a poll of the amount of conservatives working at the CBC, what that number would be. Like I've actually did a poll and everyone was honest to say what they politically stood anyways. Politics isn't everything. I don't even consider myself 100% of one particular political ideology or another. I'm a kind of a mixed bag. However, we do try and kind of put them into, generally, we have, 3 major parties in Canada now. We have like 80 other ones that are not as prominent. But anyways, so I wonder, because I know Rex Murphy he's very vocal conservative. So anyways, it is what it is. It was just a thought. But yeah, he officially said he retired. Adanac is Canada backwards. Original, yeah. You know what? That's funny you said that. I didn't know Adanac was Canada backwards. But it is, yes. That's funny. Jerome says, when all the employees that West Nipissing screwed over, will they ever be compensated now that it has been lifted? Yeah, you know what? I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. And we will get to that question. I'm going to end with that today. Just because I want to get to this other story here first. So we'll just get to that. And then we'll talk about West Nipissing lifting the vaccine mandate for their employees. And then ask the question, should Sudbury follow suit? Anyways, Northern Ontario has been recently a place where a lot of movies have been made and there's a lot of possibilities for jobs for people in the north. And so here's a workshop that has come around that will educate people on some of the possibilities if you wanted to get involved in this industry or not. Let's just check in on the story. Really great story about the workshops about the Northern Ontario film industry.
Real Canada is gearing up to launch a series of workshops across the country catered to those looking to break into the film industry. The company partnered with Cultural Industries Ontario North, known as Scion, after seeing a steady surge in industry growth across Northern Ontario.
Doing these workshops in Vancouver, Calgary, Montreal, Ottawa, and very importantly to us, North Bay, Sault Ste. Marie, and Sudbury, where there is such an explosion of production activity and such a desperate need to reach out to young people and get them into the industry.
The workshops will be held at the end of January in Sudbury, Sault Ste. Marie, and North Bay over the course of 3 weeks. Participants will be trained in 3 areas: production, grip and electric, and art development.
Certain types of positions allow you to move up in the industry more easily. So from our end of things, we thought it would be good if we have a nice pool of people who are, have some broad introductory experience and then could build on that to have a career in the film industry later in a bigger roles and more responsibility.
One of the goals is to have 200 people trained to take on entry-level positions on set and gain industry experience in different areas.
To get people comfortable enough that they can walk onto a film set and feel confident in doing some of the roles that are, needed to create a film or television show. So if you have never seen anything before, this would be enough training for you to kind of understand what needs to be done.
Real Canada says there's increased job opportunity primarily due to an information gap.
Canadians still don't really know how much production happens here. This is a real opportunity for you, almost wherever you live. Halifax, Winnipeg, Sudbury, it doesn't matter. There's an opportunity there.
Science says these workshops are open to all who are looking to break into film production. Those interested are encouraged to apply online. Amanda Hicks, CTV News, Sudbury.
Now, if you haven't had a chance, I know I got my feet wet with doing some background acting. And it was an interesting experience to see how a film is made and to see how utterly boring the process is. You go see a film at the theater and you think it's very exciting. You get your popcorn and pop and whatever snacks, and it's exciting, and you see these actors and it's just it's a real event for you. Well, the process of making those films aren't as sexy, I guess, if you can use that term. Not as exciting. There's a lot of downtime. People got to set up the area. There's a lot of people there. Sometimes it's not warm. You got to warm up. It's not comfortable-ish. And then you start the scene. Let's say everyone takes their positions, and then something will go wrong. Okay, wait, and then okay, action, whatever, and then the scene goes. Okay, well, let's try that again. You could do a scene up to like 15 times, the same one. And then you're done, and that could be the whole day. And then the rest is tear down and whatever. Depends on the film, depends on the crew, depends on a lot of things. But at the same time, you get paid for it, and you see how things are done, and it is an experience. It's fun. Now, not only could you be a background actor, you could be any of the other jobs that are available in the film industry, and you can get trained in it. They will train you because there's not a heck of a lot of people that are skilled in this field in Northern Ontario, right? So it is something you could get into. And if that is something that interests you, it could be something, if you have a flexible job, let's say, where your schedule, you kind of set your schedule, that is perfect for you. You can do this as a supplementive income. If you work a full-time job, you can say, and you know when your availability is, you can tell the people that are in charge, these agencies that are, in charge of the actors, casting agencies, you can tell them, I'm available on these days, and they could fit you in. It's interesting. So anyways, I just thought that was something that people should be aware of, that it is going down. And if you need more information on that, check it out on our Facebook page. You can re-watch that video and find out where you can catch those workshops. Sudbury.com, reporting on Mark Sede, says the rights of Canadian hunters should not be impacted by the federal efforts to protect public from deadly non-hunting related firearms. Early last month, MP Paul Chang, a Liberal member of the House of Commons Public Safety Committee, added an amendment to the federal gun control legislation, Bill C-21, that could lead to a ban on many models of shotguns and semi-automatic rifles used by hunters and farmers. While it is not unusual for amendments to be added to legislation at a second reading, said the language should have been, quote unquote, vetted and tested before inserting it into the bill to ensure the new language didn't have unintended consequences. Yeah, exactly. In this case, it does. Says the amendment didn't target hunters, he said, but the somewhat imprecise nature of the amendment means it did. The Nickel Belt MP said he was inundated with calls, as he would be in this area, and emails in December from members of the public concerned how the amendment would affect them. He said the party is trying to walk a fine line with gun control legislations. The Liberals want to insure firearms without a legitimate purpose beyond killing. So-called tactical or quote-unquote assault-style firearms and handguns are banned, with ensuring Canadian hunters and farmers can still access the tools they need. The tools they need. Interesting, I noticed they used the word tools before too, but kind of interesting. I guess a firearm is a tool. And while the legislation will definitely impact collectors and sport shooters, as well as hunters, said despite the Liberals' move to ban more than 1,500 types of firearms, there are still more than 19,000 different makes that will remain legal. It was interesting. I was watching the news from the United States, which I do. I watch news from India, the UK, the United States, and Canada mainly. I get a good fill of those news sources. I find India has an interesting take on North American news, so there's a lot I like to watch from there. But anyways, a lot of the American news was talking about this one. There was only one made of this little. It was called a butt gun or something. Anyways, there's only one made, and it was on the banned list of banned firearms in Canada. So the maker of this says, I'm holding the only one in my hand right now. They must have just got this list and just kind of copied and pasted it somehow, showing that the research that the people are going through to ban these firearms, what does that involve when this gets banned as well, when there's only one and the guy has it in his possession, and it's just a simple, almost like single shot little cylinder. It's not even a gun per se. It's a firearm in some respects, but it was almost a joke. It was invented to be a joke, and it got on the banned list of Canadian firearms to be banned. So they're kind of mocking the process that Canadians must have went through to create this list. Where are they getting this list from? What are they basing it on? Anyways, so I'm wondering, is this particular story too hot of a topic for Facebook? Is this going to end up in a shadow ban type scenario? Just talking about a bill that's being put forward in Canada, an MP that's trying to clarify the amendment to the bill, and what does that mean to Canadians? From Sudbury.com, a story from our MP. Is that something that qualifies this show or this page from being shadow banned? I'm not sure. I'm asking you, Facebook, and maybe you, the listener or the viewer. Is that too controversial of a topic to talk about? I don't even know if controversial is a thing. Is it offensive to somebody? I don't know what parameters shadow banning takes in. Is it because it's offensive? Is it because it's taboo in another way? Is it too political? Is it what? I don't understand. It's a story on Sudbury.com that we're talking about. Looks like they're really looking for support staff. Oh, that's in North Bay, possibly. We'll get to that. So Sarre really being pushed by his voters. That is correct. That is Miles, for sure. Yeah, because he didn't really come out and say it on his own. He didn't say, yeah, you know what, as a free-thinking politician person, I really think this has kind of got a lot of overreach. And I think I know my voters, and they're automatically going to feel this way. it was reactionary. He waited until he got all the emails and calls and then went, oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. You know, so I commend him for doing it. However, possibly waited until, you know, it was almost like, does it mean I'm not going to be voted in next time if I don't do anything about this? I don't know. I'm speculating. You know, was it because he feels this too? Or does he feel all guns should be taken away from people? It is an ideology, by the way, that people don't even need a gun, period. We can just buy meat in the grocery store. Why do you need a gun, right? There's no need for it. Well, unfortunately, guns are here. They are a thing. Having that kind of thought pattern, if you're going to take them away from everyone then, not just a particular segment of the population or whatever. Just take them away from everyone. So this is a hot topic. There's a lot of views on it. And that's my view, right? Either give it to everyone or take it away from everyone kind of thing. Guns are meant to protect as well as do damage to people. And some people have protected themselves over time with them as well as done damage. So at least it's not a topic I have to make a decision on. I can just talk about it. My brother started a job last year that requires him to carry a sidearm. He did all the training and passed it all, but had to wait a significant length of time because his employer couldn't get the sidearm because of the gun ban. So eventually, he did get it, but required jumping through more hoops than you'd see at any circus. That's funny. Yeah, exactly. So it's nearly impossible, you know, and his job required it, for crying out loud, to protect whatever he was doing. Like, you know, it was security jobs, some of them. The Brinks guys, they need them. There's certain jobs that require firearms, right? And I guess I can't talk about rights because apparently we don't have any real rights in Canada, or just very few compared to other places. But I would even say it's somewhat of a right. You know, I guess it's written into law in the U.S., the right to bear them for protection, and just the right to bear them. And if you use them in a way that is against the law, then the law is there to prosecute you if you use that tool in a negative way. But you have the right to have it. And just like anything, you have the right to jaywalk. If you jaywalk, there's a law in place that will prosecute you, right? Now, I understand that is minimalizing the damage of jaywalking compared to the damage of the tool that you could use against somebody is very much totally at the end of two different spectrums. However, the principle itself is the same. Okay? I never see all the comments that you do, a couple here and there. Oh, interesting. Wow. Well, I'm reading the comments right from the comments, so that's another way, I guess. I don't know, is that part of shadow banning? Am I shadow banned? Is it? Why do I have 100 comments or 100 reactions on a video in my analytics when I only have 9 publicly? Why are you not seeing comments? Why are you not being notified if there's a video? Beats me. You know, maybe we all need to move to a different platform. Maybe that's what the intention is. I have no idea. But for now, we'll try and do the best we can. Being shadow banned. We'll end with our deep dive video if we can do this. North Bay has apologized for their policy for COVID-19 vaccines and people losing their jobs. I hope we can hear this. When I was listening to it last night, it was hard to hear this counselor give her apology and whatever. But this is, this is a council member giving an apology for that policy. Be right back. This
Take
is
a
from
moment
North
to
Bay.
acknowledge that this policy caused a lot of unnecessary harm and animosity within our workforce and community. I believe that this policy was mistakenly adopted 12 months ago. The general population knows that today that the COVID vaccine doesn't stop the spread of the virus. 12 months ago, the municipal council was well aware that the spread did not correlate with vaccination status prior to this policy being adopted. A constituent had presented to council the Public Health Ontario data showing that by January 2022, there were equally or more cases reported per capita in vaccinated people versus unvaccinated people.
If you weren't aware, since Christmas Eve, vaccinated people have actually been testing positive for COVID at a higher rate per capita than unvaccinated people.
Unfortunately, the outcome of the vote from the municipal council resulted in the implementation of this punitive policy. With all my heart, I extend my apologies to those who were affected negatively by this policy, and I hope that as a municipality and a community, we can move forward. Thank you. Thank you for your statement. Any other questions or comments?
So there you have it. So North Bay has rescinded their vaccination policy for their workers and volunteers, and now they can go back to work or back to volunteering in their community. And the question I posed on the Facebook page, and you feel free to comment there, do you think that Sudbury should follow suit? They gave the statistics there. And yes, Miles, YouTube does do the same thing, probably in a different way, though. There's behind the scenes shadow banning type things. I watched an interview of the creator of Rumble. It's a different platform than YouTube. It's the same idea. There was a particular politician in the United States who had 100,000 followers on YouTube over 4 years. And he sensed that something was going on, that he wasn't really getting as many followers as he thought he should be. He went right to Rumble and he advertised that he was on Rumble. And I think he got like 1 million views or 1 million, subscribers in less than 4 months. So 4 years, 100,000, 4 months, 1 million. And the the co-creator of Rumble said he doesn't do anything to censor or whatever. He just allows the algorithm to do its thing. And when you kick the soccer ball, the goalposts never move. So you can work on your game and you know what to expect when you're working with that platform. Whereas with Facebook or YouTube, the monitors or the moderators, they have carte blanche to basically, if you said something possibly that they didn't even feel was right, they then could take an approach, or an algorithm picks out a word or a phrase and it automatically does something too. So that's what I'd like to know. What are those words? What are the phrases? So that way we just don't say them, because if that's what's, stopping the word from getting out for this conversation we're having, then so be it. But back to the question, if apologies are not enough, back pay and punitive damages, should be awarded. That's what Jerome says, and Monique agrees. And then also, there's more diverse workforce in Sudbury. The city pays more healthcare workers. I doubt they will respond. I doubt they will rescind their policy. Not saying I agree with it, just an opinion on what they will do. Okay. Well, it depends, right? Public pressure. If you're, as we've seen with Mark Sade, all of his constituents calling in and whatever, he's taking action by going to the media. Will the same, thing happen here in Sudbury? It still says if you want to apply for a job, their vaccine policy is that you need to be vaccinated in order to work for the city, which then again limits the amount of healthcare workers we can have, limits the amount of workers, limits, and then we complain, oh, there's not enough people to work, and then we never mention, well, maybe it's because we have a policy that prevents a certain percentage of our workforce from working, when arguably, as this counselor set out and showed the actual statistics from websites that are authoritative, the actual vaccinated people are getting COVID more than the unvaccinated. So why would you then have a policy of that when the facts, now that we have them, never had them before? So I can see why they made the policy in the first place. It's not hard to see that. You had to do something, you did something, and now the facts are out. So what are you going to do now that the facts are out? Are you going to continue doing the same thing just because it's there, or are you going to be proactive and take in the new information and be progressive? We changed it rather quickly when we had a response to it. Are we going to keep it that way now that it's not needed? So we will have this discussion and we'll continue a bit of a deep dive at the end of the show today. Make sure to continue to like, share, comment, subscribe, follow, all that stuff on our Facebook and YouTube, whether or not you're going to be allowed to or not. Continue to do it anyways. It can't hurt. The thought is what counts. And Miles gets the last word. We're talking about Sudbury here, with who listen to bureaucrats more than politicians, LOL. You got the last word, Miles. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. Thanks for being with us, and have a safe and happy Monday until we see you tomorrow, or be with you tomorrow anyways. Ciao. Oh, stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU 96.7 FM.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.